Let me do a quick introduction about myself and what we have done so far before moving on, especially for the students that are here for the first time. I think people who were here last week would have already got an introduction about who I am. You would have done your own research about who I am and the Success Academy as well. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Sheshan Dias and I've run an academy called the Success Academy, where we focus on helping people speak English in a better way. So we do spoken English classes. I specialize in public speaking. So if you want to improve your presentation skills, if you want to become a compeer, if you want to become a presenter, or generally if you want to improve your ability to speak in front of a crowd, then I can definitely help you out. But most importantly, and the reason that all of you are here, I'm also an IELTS trainer. I've been doing IELTS classes for the past 2 years, and up to date we have helped over 300 students get to their required IELTS band scores. Okay, with that being said, let's get into the introduction to the IELTS exam. The IELTS exam stands for the International English Language Testing System. Okay, this is the most recognized English test in the world. ලෝකේ තියෙන පිළිගත්ම English test එක තමයි IELTS කියලා කියන්නේ. Okay. මේකට competitors ලා ඉන්නවා. PTE, TOEFL, Duolingo වගේ competitors ලා ගොඩක් ඉන්නවා. නමුත් ලෝකේ ඕනම English speaking country එකකින්, ඕනම university එකකින්, ඕනම workplace එකකින් පිළිගත්ත exam එක තමයි IELTS කියලා කියන්නේ. Although there are many competitors, IELTS is the most recognized English test in the world. All right. Now, in order to get to a good band score in the IELTS exam, your level of English needs to be at least at a standard level. Average මට්ටමකවත් ඔයාගේ English knowledge එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ IELTS විභාගෙට යන්න කලින්. මොකද ඔයා කිසිම දැනුමක් නැතුව ගිහිල්ලා IELTS විභාගෙට ඉඳගත්තොත් ඔයාට හොඳ බෑන්ඩ් ස්කෝර් එකකට යන්න බැරි වෙනවා. එතකොට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මිනිමම් රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක බෑන්ඩ් 4 එකක්වත් ඔයාට තියෙන්න ඕන. අපි මේ බෑන්ඩ් ස්කෝර්ස් ගැන මොනවද කියලා අපි කතා කරමු, right? but අඩුම වශයෙන් බෑන්ඩ් 4 level එකකවත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉන්න ඕනේ, right? දැන් මෙතන ඉංග්‍රීසි බැරිම කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. වචනයක්වත් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් කතා කරද්දී ඔයාට කිසිම දෙයක් තේරෙන්නේ නැති ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉස්සල්ලාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ස්පෝකන් ඉංග්‍රීසි ක්ලාස් එකකට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා IELTS කරන්න එන්න ඕනේ, right? එකපාර ගිහිල්ලා IELTS test එකට ඉඳ ගන්න එපා, right? So when it comes to the IELTS exam, there are two main types of tests that you can do. You can either do the general test or the academic test. The general test is for people who are going abroad for work purposes, for migration purposes, right? To live in a foreign country, to work in a foreign country. Mainly the people who do the general test are that kind of people with that kind of requirements. People who do the academic test are obviously going abroad for academic reasons. They're going abroad to do their degree, do their masters, do their PhD, do a diploma, some sort of academic reason. Majority of people, 80% of candidates do the academic test. Why? For most people, the academic route is very easy, especially if you're going to get PR or get citizenship in a foreign country, right? Study කරන්න රට යන එක ගොඩක් ලේසි, work කරන්න රට යනවට වඩා. මොකද work කරන්න යනවා නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ opportunity එකක් හොයාගෙන companies වලට apply කරලා ඒක ටිකක් අමාරු මාර්ගයක්. Academic reasons වලට, ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ degree එකක්, masters එකක් වගේ කරන්න යනවා නම් මේක බොහොම ලේසි, right? So that's why nearly 80% of people do the academic test. That doesn't mean the academic IELTS test is easy. The visa process is easier, the PR process is easier, but the IELTS exam, comparatively, the academic test is a bit more difficult than the general test. General test is a bit easier. And the reason for that is the objective of the two tests are different. මේ ටෙස්ට් එකේ පරමාර්ථය වෙනස්. ජෙනරල් ටෙස්ට් එක කරන එකේ පරමාර්ථය තමයි English speaking country එකකට ගිහිල්ලා ඒ මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක කතා කරලා survive වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක තමයි general test එකෙන් මනින්න හදන්නේ. academic test එකෙන් මනින්න හදන්නේ ඔයාට විදේශීය රටකට ගිහිල්ලා English speaking country එකකට ගිහිල්ලා ඒ රටේ තියෙන academic documents කියවලා ඒවා තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? English වලින් assignment එකක් submit කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඔයාට report එකක් ලියන්න පුළුවන්ද? හොඳ comprehensive essay එකක් ලියන්න පුළුවන්ද? මේ වගේ දේවල් තමයි academic test එක කරන එකේ පරමාර්ථය. ඒක තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ check කරන්නේ. All right? Okay. Then if you're doing the exam from Sri Lanka from 2025 onwards, they cancelled the paper-based test. Okay, I don't know how it is in other countries. Depending on the country, it's different. But right now, in Sri Lanka, only the computer-based test is available. Okay, ogolo Sri Lanka having exam එක කරනවා නම් computer-based test එක විතරයි දැනට available. Make sense? All right. Okay, so when it comes to the test format, everybody, there are 4 different tests that you have to do at the IELTS exam. You have the listening test, you have the reading test, you have the writing test, and you have the speaking test. Listening, reading, writing will be held in one session. Okay, listening, reading, and writing will be held in one session. The duration is roughly about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, the duration is roughly about 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'll give you this time breakdown in just a bit. Okay, then you have the speaking test. The speaking test could either be held on a completely different day, or if it's being held on the same day, it will be a different session. එක්ක speaking test එක වෙනම දවසක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් එකම දවසේ තියෙනවා නම් වෙනම session එකක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ main test එක තියෙන්නේ උදේ. The main test is in the morning. You have the listening, reading and writing in the morning session, and the speaking test would be in the afternoon session. So it's 2 different tests really. You have the listening, reading and writing as one separate test, and then you have the speaking as a separate test altogether. Make sense? When it comes to the difference between the academic and the general test, the listening and the speaking tests are the same. There are 0 differences. If you are doing the general test or if you're doing the academic test, there is no difference between listening and speaking. Writing, there is a difference. I will explain that difference to you as we move forward. The reading test, there is a difference. I will explain that difference as we move forward. Okay. So, only the reading and the writing test, there is a difference. Speaking and listening, no difference at all. Okay. How you are given marks at the IELTS test is through a band score. Okay. What is a band score? Now, in the European Union, there is a framework called the Common European Framework of Reference. The Common European Framework of Reference. It is using this framework that they judge, that they evaluate your language skills. ඔයාගේ භාෂා මට්ටම මනින්නේ මේ CEFR. ඒ කියන්නේ Common European Framework of Reference කියන මේ framework එකකින්. ඕනම යුරෝපීය භාෂාවකට අපිට මේ framework එක use කරන්න පුළුවන්. A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. A1 කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ language level එක අඩුම අඩුයි. කියන්නේ ඔයාට කතා කරගන්න බෑ, ඔයාට මේ භාෂාව තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. B1 means you're average, you're okay, you're medium. Right? You can improve a lot, but you're okay. You can manage to speak the language. B2, C1. B2 and C1 means you're all right. You can manage to speak with someone, you're good, you can carry out a conversation, you can deliver speech, you can write an essay, you're all right. C2 means you're perfect. There are no mistakes, you're very fluent, you can write a perfect essay with good examples, you can use figures of speech freely, you're quite fluent in the language. Band scores have been created in conjunction with these CEFR levels. මේ CEFR levels වලට අනුගාමීව තමයි මේ band scores හදලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝගේ IELTS results sheets වල band score එකට අමතරව CEFR score එකත් දානවා. right? A1 හරි B1 හරි කියලා මේ විදියට score එකක් දානවා. right? එතකොට ඔයාට exam එකේදී ගන්න පුළුවන් වැඩිම band score එක band 9. The highest score you can get at the exam is band 9. Band 9 is obviously reserved for the best of the best. You don't make any mistakes. What does it say here? It says you have a full operational command of the language. Your use of English is appropriate, accurate and fluent, and you show complete understanding. There is no room for error. 40 out of 40 for listening, 40 out of 40 for reading. Your speaking is exceptional. Your writing is fabulous. No mistakes. All right. So for most of you, band 7 plus would be a good score. Okay. 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5 is a very decent score. Can you get to a band 7 plus score without being fluent in English? Yes, you can. Right? If you put enough practice, if you practice enough listening tests, if you practice enough reading tests, if you know the right techniques, if you know how to speak confidently, even if you're making grammatical errors, if you know how to speak confidently, if you know how to use good examples, if you know the right structures to write a report, to write an essay, to write a letter, then yes, you can get to a band 7 plus score. If you read the description over here, it says you have an operational command of the language, though with occasional inaccuracies. With occasional inaccuracies, inappropriate usage, and misunderstandings in some situations. Generally, you handle complex language well and understand detailed reasonings. Guys, මෙතනදී මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? ඔයාට සමහර තැන්වල තියෙන වචන තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. සමහර අවස්ථාවලදී ඔයාට කියන්න වචන එන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයාට සමහර අවස්ථාවලදී සමහර contexts වලදී ඔයාට ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාව හරියට හසුරව ගන්න බෑ. එහෙම වුණත් සාමාන්‍ය මට්ටමකට ඔයාට ඉංග්‍රීසි language එක handle කරගන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඔයාට band 7 plus score එකකට යන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේක ඕන කෙනෙක්ට achievable. ඕන කෙනෙක්ට යන්න පුළුවන් score එකක්. හැබැයි obviously වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. You can't sit at home, wait till the last 2-3 days before the exam and then say, right now I'm going to do some practices, then realize that even though you know English, this is still difficult, and then end up not getting the score you want. Bad way, bad strategy. Okay, you need to take some time, prepare yourself, understand the right techniques, practice so many papers, and be completely ready for the test. Do you understand what I mean? So it's easy to get to a band 7 plus score, but you need to put in the work. Band 1 is the lowest score. You will never get a band 0. Band 0 means you are absent. Okay, unfortunately you are absent. Band 1 means you are terrible. Right? No one has, as far as I know, no one has really got a band 1. මම දන්න තරමින් කවුරුත් band 1 එකක් අරගෙන නැහැ. Right? මොකද band 1 එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් band 1 level එකක ඉන්න student කෙනෙක් කවදාවත් IELTS exam එකට යන්නෙත් නැහැ. Do you understand what I mean? Now, I'll give you an example, okay? There was this one student, he was from Qatar, he was living in Qatar. He wanted to move to the UK for working purposes. He was doing the general test and his required score was a band 4.5. All right, a band 4.5. Now, this student, unfortunately, couldn't speak English at all. Right? Neither could he speak Sinhala. He could understand Sinhala, he could struggle and speak in Sinhala, but he couldn't speak English. He spoke Tamil. Now the problem is that I speak Sinhala well, I speak English well, I don't understand Tamil to save my life, unfortunately. Right? Now, I had to teach this student to get to a band 4.5 score. He was starting over here. He was not good at all. Right? But obviously, we had a lot of time. We had about 6 to 7 months. So I had to teach him the basics of the English language. Step by step, month by month, there was a lot of progress that was being made. And eventually, when he finally did the test, he was able to get a band 5 score. This is someone that couldn't speak English to save his life. Do you understand what I mean? He couldn't write. The first essay that he sent me wasn't an essay. It wasn't even words. Right? So it was from there that we started putting things together, and he was able to get to this level where he was a modest user of the English language. And I'm being very realistic and practical about the times or the time duration. I can't get that student to get a band 5 in 2 weeks. Nobody can do that. 7 months, absolutely possible. Do you understand what I mean? So if you are at this level, ඔයාට තේරෙනවා නම් මම ඉන්නේ මට ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරගන්නම බැරි මට්ටමක. මම ඉන්නේ මේ level එකේ. Intermittent user කෙනෙක් මම, non user කෙනෙක් මම. I'm a very poor user, limited user. ඔයා ඉන්නේ මේ level එකේ නම් කොහොමද ඔයා දැනගන්නේ මම මේ level එකේ ඉන්නේ කියලා? ඔයා listening test එකක් කරලා බලනවා. ඔයාට එන්නේ ලකුණු 12යි, 10යි, 40යි. Right? ඔයා reading test එකක් කරද්දි මුකුත්ම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙලෝ දානයක් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ලකුණු 10යි, 8යි එන්නේ. Writing test එක ඔයාට පිටුවක් ලියා ගන්න බෑ. ඔයාට වචන 200ක් ලියා ගන්න බෑ. ඔයා වචන 100න් 120න් නවත්තනවා. report එකක් ගත්තම ඔයාට හරියට ඒක analyze කරලා information ලියන්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයාට වචන 150ක් ලියා ගන්න බෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ඉන්නේ මෙන්න මේ levels වල. මේ levels වල ඉන්නවා නම් මාසෙන් දෙකෙන් IELTS කරන්න හදන්න එපා. අපරාධ සල්ලි අනිවාර්යෙන් මාස 4ක්වත් අඩුම වශයෙන් මාස 4ක්වත් අරගෙන හරියට plan කරලා practice කරලා එකපාරෙන් IELTS ඔයාට අවශ්‍ය score එකට යන්න practice කරන්න. Now if you try out and you're already at this level, you're at a band 4 to 5 level. How do you know if you're at this level? You are able to without stress get about 20 marks out of 40, right? You're in that 18 to 22 range. Okay. With writing, you are able to think of some good ideas. It's just that your vocabulary is not good enough. Your examples are not good enough. Sometimes your English is good, but you don't have the right ideas. If you are at that level, don't worry. For you, a month, 2 months is more than enough. Right? Maybe about 1 month would be fine. 2 months would be great. Okay. But if you have more time, that's just fantastic. If you are at this level, band 5 to 6, this means you're generally getting about 26, 27 marks. You are writing your answers well, but you just need some guidance on the right structures. You're able to speak, but you don't have the right ideas. You're stammering, you're stuttering, you're using fillers. If you are at this level, band 5 and 6 level, 1 month is more than enough for you. Easily you can target a band 7 plus score. Makes sense? If you're already at a band 7 plus score level, you probably don't need a class. You can practice by yourself and go for a good score. But that being said, let me also tell you another story. Okay, I use this story quite a bit. So some of you, if you have attended my previous classes, you would have heard this, right? But let me tell this story anyway. There was a friend of mine, mage යාළුවෙක් හිටියා, English medium study කරේ. එයා මාත් එක්ක Shakespeare drama කරා, drama competitions වලට ගියා. මේ English නිකන් අර වතුර වගේ කතා කරන යාළුවෙක්. right? එයාත් බෙලාරුස් වල තමයි හිටියේ. මම නම කියන්නේ නැහැ දැනගත්තොත් එහෙම කියලා. right? බෙලාරුස් වල තමයි මෙයාත් හිටියේ. දැන් මෙයාට බෙලාරුස් ඉඳලා UK යන්න තමයි ටෙස්ට් එක කරන්නේ. හැබැයි requirement එක overall band 8 and he needs to have above 7.5 for everything. Oh, I think overall band 7.5 and above 7.5 for everything. Now he had got a band 8 plus score for speaking, reading and listening. For writing, he couldn't get above band 7. එයා කොච්චර English හොඳ වුණත් එයාට band 7 එකෙන් උඩ දෙපාරක් ටෙස්ට් එක කරලා ගන්න බැරි වුණා. right? ඊට පස්සේ බැරිම තැන මිනිහටත් ලැජ්ජා යහන්න. ඇයි මේ ඉංග්‍රීසි හොඳටම දන්න එක්කෙනෙක්. මූටත් හිතා ගන්න බෑ ඇයි මට මෙහෙම අඩු ස්කෝර් එකක් එන්නේ කියලා. කොහොම හරි මට කතා කරලා අහලා මගෙන් ඇහුවා මචං what can I do? What can I do to get this particular score? So I said, okay, send me your writing tasks. Let me tell you what you can do. When I looked at his writing tasks, I understood his English is good, his examples are good, vocabulary is good, his structure is not good at all. He hasn't structured his essay in the right way, and he didn't have the right cohesive devices in order to go for a high score. We fixed that. Third time he did it, he got the score he wanted. You understand what I mean? ඉතින් අර ඉංග්‍රීසි හොඳටම පුළුවන් වුණත් හිතන්න එපා මේක මට දවසින් දෙකෙන් කරලා පාස් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. හැමදේම හොඳට හොයලා බලලා මම කියන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකකට යන්න කියලා. ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකේ ඕනතරම් ෆ්‍රී ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් තියෙනවා. ඔයාට අපේ channel එකට ගිහින් බැලුවත් ඕනතරම් හරි ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරියට එක්සෑම් එකට ලෑස්ති වෙලා එක්සෑම් එකට යන්න එතකොට තමයි ඔයාට හොඳ බෑන්ඩ් ස්කෝර් එකකට යන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. right? okay. guys එක්කෙනෙක් කියනවා රෙකෝඩ් කරන්න කියලා. guys බය වෙන්න එපා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මේක මිස් වුණොත් අපි රෙකෝඩින් එක දාන්න. right? so don't worry about that. okay. but ideally be active in the class, take notes in the class. You won't need a recording if you attentively pay attention. All right. Okay, just a few more quick tips about the IELTS exam. It's run by Cambridge Examinations. So there are two places that you can do the exam. You can do it at the British Council or at IDP. Some people ask me, so which is better? Is the British Council better or is IDP better? Really, there is no difference. Okay, කිසිම වෙනසක් නැහැ. ඔයා IDP එකේ කරත් එකයි British Council එකේ කරත් එකයි. okay, exam එකේ කිසිම වෙනසක් නැහැ. Zero difference in the exam. okay, so don't worry about that. How long is the IELTS exam valid for? 2 years. So if you're going abroad 2 years from now, don't do the exam now. My recommendation is do it about 6 to 8 months before you have to leave. Reason is, I say 6 to 8 months because even if you don't get the score you want, you still have more than 2 months to prepare yourself again. What happens to most people that do it on a deadline? යන්න මාසයක් තියලා කරන අයගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි fail වුණොත් එහෙම ආයෙ practice කරගන්නවත් වෙලාවල් නැහැ. right? මං ගාවට individual and students ලට ගොඩක් මේක තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ එක්සෑම් එක මේ කට ළඟ තියාගෙන කරලා ෆේල් වෙලා ඊට පස්සේ කියනවා සර් මට සතියයි තියෙන මොනාරි කරලා ගොඩ දාලා දෙන්න කියලා. right? ඉතින් අපි කොහොමරි ගොඩ දාලා දෙනවා. but it's tough. right? It's stress to me, it's stress to the student, undue unnecessary stress. right? So make sure you have some time, about 6 to 8 months, and you can nicely prepare, study properly, understand the techniques, practice so many papers and easily get the score you want. Very simple. All right? Okay. So before we move on to the introduction to the listening test, I will answer some of your questions. Okay. Someone has said, sir, please give me a tip for how to improve my vocab problem. It's a huge trouble for me. Okay. Guys, when it comes to vocabulary, we'll talk about this. I'll talk about this as we move forward. So I'm not going to answer that question now. I'll take that in just a bit. Okay? Because the reason I'm not answering it now is because I explain it in detail as we move forward. Okay? All right. Someone has asked for the IELTS exams. I think our moderator has dropped the pricing page of the British Council. You can go and check it there. Guys, again, one quick reminder, the IELTS exam is not a cheap exam. right? මේක මේ රුපියල් 10000ක 15000ක exam එකක් නෙමෙයි. right? 65000ක් 75000ක් ගෙවන්න ඕන exam එකක්. 65000 to 75000 rupees you have to spend on this test. Do you understand? So who has unmuted themselves? Guys, keep yourselves on mute. I'll give you a chance to speak, but till such time stay on mute. Right? Okay. as I was saying, this is a bit of an expensive exam. Okay, so either you're paying for it or your parents are paying for it. Okay, some of you are students, your parents are paying for it. Don't try to do this exam multiple times, because let's say at 65,000 rupees, if you do it twice, that's 130,000 rupees. If you do it 3 times, that's more than 180,000 rupees. You're spending nearly 200,000 rupees doing your exam 3 times. Waste of money, unless you're really rich and you have money to spend. But even then, it's just pointless spending it on some random exam. Okay, so make sure you understand what you need to do very clearly. Practice so many papers, as many papers as you can, so that you're fully confident, and then pass the exam in one go. Don't waste your money. Clear? Alright. Sir, please explain in Sinhala how we can find answer tricks. Yes, Netma, definitely I will do that. Okay. Okay. Someone has asked UK VI IELTS introduction. Okay. Guys, UK VI stands for UK Visa and Immigration. So UK VI usually කරන්නේ UK වලට යන්න හදන කට්ටිය. මේකේ එකම difference එක ඔයාගේ results sheet එකේ UK Home Office එකෙන් seal එකක් ගහලා දෙනවා. Exam එකේ කිසිම වෙනසක් නැහැ. There is no difference in the exam. Okay, there is no difference in the exam. It's the same exam. The only difference is that you get a special seal on your report sheet. That's it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, someone has again said the vocabulary thing. Guys, vocabulary I'll discuss. Okay, don't worry. I'll talk about how to improve your vocabulary. First, we'll talk about the listening test. Okay, the listening test is the first test that you're going to get. Alright, the listening test is the first test that you're going to get. This is divided into 4 sections and it's 30 minutes in length. You have a 30-minute recording that plays. You have to listen to this recording and you have to answer 40 questions. විනාඩි 30ක recording එකක් play කරනවා. මේ විනාඩි 30 recording එකට අහුම්කන් දීලා ප්‍රශ්න 40කට ඔයා උත්තර දෙන්න ඕනේ. Clear? මේ ප්‍රශ්න 40 කොටස් 4කට බෙදලා තියෙනවා. These 40 questions are divided into 4 parts. Okay? So 40 divided by 4, if my maths is correct, is 10. So each section has 10 questions. Okay, so you have part 1, you have part 2, you have part 3, and you have part 4. Make sense? So each of these separate parts has 10 questions each. Each of these different parts have a different type of recording. වෙන වෙනම recording වර්ග කිහිපයක් තියෙනවා. අපිට එතකොට හැම වෙලාවෙම expect කරන්න පුළුවන් exam එකට එන්නේ මේ type of recording එකක් කියලා. Right? එතකොට section 1 ගත්තම මොන වගේ recording එකක්ද? There's always 2 people having a conversation about a general topic. මිනිස්සු දෙන්නෙක් conversation එකක් ගෙනියනවා මොකක් හරි එදිනෙදා ජීවිතේ topic එකක් ගැන. මේ එදිනෙදා ජීවිතේ topic එකක් ගැන හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. I told you that the listening test is common to both general and academic test takers. So it caters to both parties. The first 2 sections are more geared towards general test takers. So it covers more general topics. Sections 3 and 4 are more geared towards academic topics. Is that clear? So part 1 is always 2 people having a conversation about a general topic. Alright. So when I mean general topic, I mean topics like renting a house. 2 people having a conversation about renting a house. 2 people having a conversation about booking a plane ticket, booking a train ticket. 2 people having a conversation about sending some cargo abroad. These are day-to-day conversations. Conversations that you would usually have on the telephone or you would have a chat with someone you meet. Okay. These are not academic conversations. These are general conversations. Section 2 always has one person talking. One person talking, again, about a general topic, a non-academic topic. All right. So again, it could be something along the lines of the benefits of healthy food. They could talk about the outline of a map, maybe the outline of the town library. So you might have to mark the positions on a map. Then they might also talk about something along the lines of maybe the guide of a boat trip might give the agenda for that boat trip, right? So it's one person talking to either a group of people or by himself about a non-academic topic. All right. So part 1 always has 2 people talking about a non-academic topic. Part 2 has 1 person talking about a non-academic topic. Clear? Then you have part 3 or section 3. Section 3 has up to 4 speakers talking about an academic topic. Up to 4 speakers. That means there might be 2 speakers, 3 or 4 speakers. Clear? There will never be 1. There will never be more than 4. 4 is also quite rare, to be honest. Very generally there's 2. Okay. Some papers there are 3. Very rarely you might get 4. Right? It's quite a rare occurrence. But up to 4 speakers can be there. We don't know how many. This is your first introduction to an academic topic. Alright. So it might be 2 people having a conversation about their university submission, their university assignment. It might be 3 people having a panel discussion about a specific topic. It might be 2 people having a conversation about what they're going to submit for their work presentation. Right? So it's always going to be some sort of academic topic. And up to 4 people will be talking. Finally, you have section 4. Section 4 is always 1 speaker talking, එක පුද්ගලයයි කතා කරන්නේ, about some academic topic. This is very close to a TED Talk. How many of you have watched TED Talks? I'm assuming most of you. TED Talks බලලා තියෙන කට්ටිය අත උස්සන්න බලන්න. එක්කෙනයි. අනිත් කවුද TED Talks බලලා නැද්ද? Anyone? Okay. Alright, there's 2 people. Guys, you all need to check out some TED Talks today. Okay. This is going to help you not just with the listening test, but with all other parts of the test. And I'll tell you how it will help you. But it's very, not TikToks. Someone has said TikToks. Not TikToks. No. TED Talks. TED Talks. Alright. TEDTALKS. TED Talks. Alright, very important. You need to go and check it out today. So part 4, may part 4 section 4 කියන කොටස TED Talk එකක් වගේ. එක පුද්ගලයෙක් කතා කරන්නේ මොකක් හරි academic topic එකක් ගැන. Right? මොකක් හරි academic topic එකක් ගැන. ඉතින් මෙතනදී කෙලින්ම විනාඩි 10ක් 12ක් විතර එක දිගට recording එක play වෙනවා. ඔයාට ඒකෙන් උත්තර හොයන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. Right? මේ section 4 එකේදී. එක දිගට නොනවත්වා මේ academic topic එක ගැන මේ එක පුද්ගලයා කතා කරගෙන යනවා. Right? මේ sections වල හොඳකම කියලා කියන්නේ, right? මේ හැම section එකක්ම දෙකට බෙදිලායි තියෙන්නේ. Right? දැන් section 1 ගත්තම මම කිව්වා ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් තියෙනවා කියලා. I told you there are 10 questions. This is broken down into 2, not equally. පහ පහ නෙමෙයි. Sometimes 3 and 7, sometimes 4 and 6, sometimes 5 and 5. We don't know, but it's broken into 2. So they will first play the recording for the first part, and then they will give you some time to read the remaining questions and play the recording for that. Same thing with section 2. ඉස්සල්ලාම අර පළවෙනි section එකට ප්‍රශ්න වලට උත්තර ලියන්න recording එක play කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ දෙවෙනි කොටස කියවන්න ඔයාට වෙලාවක් දීලා ඊටු ටික play කරනවා. Section 3ත් එහෙමයි. කොටස් දෙකකට බෙදලා තියෙන්නේ. සමසමවද නැහැ. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. 5 5 වෙන්න පුළුවන්, 3 7 වෙන්න පුළුවන්, 4 6 වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එක එක විදි වලට මේක බෙදලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Section 4 එක විතරයි, only section 4 is not divided into 2. 10 questions in one go. That's why I said the recording is about 10 to 12 minutes long. They'll directly just play that recording. You have to listen to it and answer all 10 questions. Clear? So all of these are broken into 2, 2, 2, 2. Alright? Here, section 4 is not broken into 2. I hope that's clear. Alright? Okay. Then you have different question types. Now obviously, I will discuss each of these different questions in our more detailed listening only class. But here I'll just give you an idea of the types of questions. You have MCQ type questions, multiple choice questions. You have short answer questions where you have to write maybe 2 words or 3 words as your answer. You have sentence completion where again it's like fill in the blanks basically. All of these are like fill in the blanks. Completion of a diagram, note or table, labeling a diagram. All of these questions are basically fill in the blanks. Okay, they give you some blanks, you just have to fill it. Simple. Okay. Classification and matching. This is where you have a list of options and then you have a number of questions. You have to match these options to the question. Make sense? Now we'll discuss each of these in detail when we come to our second or third lesson, right? But obviously today I just want you to understand that there are different question types like this. Okay. For section 4, it's always a sentence completion type question. So you know that regardless of whatever the paper, it's always going to be sentence completion. Why? Because they play the recording in one go and you have to answer all 10 questions. So it's not easy to do a classification type or a matching type question when the question type itself is difficult. So that is why they have given sentence completion as the standard question type for section 4. These 3, there might be any of these different types of questions. Clear? There is one question here that says, "Hi sir, are we supposed to answer the listening test while the recording is being played or should we wait till the recording is done?" You have to answer the questions while the recording is being played. Recording එක play වෙන ගමන් තමයි ඔයා උත්තර ලියන්න ඕනේ. අහලා ඉවර වෙනකන් හිටියොත් ඔයාට වෙලාවක් නැහැ. Right? You have to answer the questions while the recording is being played. Alright? Okay. Guys, this is an important thing. Now, especially for those of you who are practicing at home by yourselves, how to practice for the listening test is very important. Okay? Now, what is the competency that we are trying to build with the listening test? මොකක්ද අපි listening test එකෙන් හදාගන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ? සමහර අය කියන්න පුළුවන් listening කියලා. නෑ. Listening නෙමෙයි. අපි මෙතනදී build up කරන්නේ අපේ listening comprehension එක. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට යමක් ඇහුම්කන් දීලා ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන හැකියාව තමයි මේකෙන් මනින්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ. ඕන කෙනෙක්ට ඇහුම්කන් දෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. හැබැයි ඒ ඇහුම්කන් දෙන දේ තේරෙන්න ඕනේ. අන්න ඒක තමයි මෙතනින් බලන්නේ. Right? So I have given you some things that you can do. Okay? Listen to songs, watch movies, watch news channels, listen to TED Talks, all of these things are there. These are all things you can find online. But just listening is not going to improve your listening comprehension. ඔයා දවසම movies බැලුවත්, English movies බැලුවත්, ඔයා දවසම English සින්දු වලට ඇහුම්කන් දුන්නත්, ඔයාගේ English listening comprehension එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා මේ ඇහුම්කන් දෙන දේ එළියට දාන්න ඕනේ. You need to listen and you need to practice. What does that mean and how do you practice? Okay. Let's take a TED Talk because that's the best thing that you can do. Listen to a 12 to 15 minute TED Talk, however long it is. Okay, 12 to 15 minute TED Talk. Then you have a book, පොතක් තියාගන්න. Summarize the information that you learned from this TED Talk. මේ TED Talk එකෙන් ඉගෙන ගත්ත දේ ඔයා සමරයිස් කරන්න. ඔයාට මේක හරියට සමරයිස් කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ English listening comprehension එක හොඳයි. දැන් මෙතන ඉන්න 50ක් දෙනා කියලා බලන්න සර් මට ඉංග්‍රීසි තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම කොහොමද TED Talk එකකට අහුම්කන් දීලා විනාඩි 15කට අහුම්කන් දීලා මේක සමරයිස් කරන්නේ? කරන්න බෑ. හරි. බය වෙන්න එපා. Take it 1 minute at a time. If you can't do 1 minute, do it 30 seconds at a time. Listen to the first 30 seconds and try to write it in your own words. තමාගේම වචනෙන් මේක ලියන්න උත්සාහ කරන්න. වචන නැත්තම් වචන තේරෙන්නේ නැත්තම් මේ අලුතෙන්ම හදපු දෙයක් තියෙනවා Google කියලා. If you're studying alone, go on Google, search those words, find the meanings and write it in your own words. Now, if you do this for about a week, 2 weeks, you start building up your listening comprehension. All right. Then you start increasing the amount of time you listen to something. Now, first, if you are doing only 1 minute at a time, try to make it 3 minutes at a time or 4 minutes at a time. And then you try to summarize the information. Okay. Writing is one of the best ways that you can improve your language because you're forced to spell things correctly. You can take more time to think about it. You have more time to research and find the correct words. You can improve your vocabulary by doing this. Someone had asked, sir, help me improve my vocabulary. This is how you can do it. Okay. Listen to a TED Talk. Listen to a podcast. Whatever you enjoy. Come back home and write about it. Guaranteed your English language skills, your vocabulary will improve, your idea generation will improve, your ability to speak will improve. Once you have done this exercise for a couple of weeks, then you move on to speaking about those specific topics. You listen to a TED Talk, you record yourself talking about the summary of what you learned. Most people, even if they can speak English well, struggle to speak English fluently. They get stuck, they don't know what to say, they can't put across an idea, they have no clue what to say when they are put in front of not an audience but just even one person. Even at the IELTS exam, in front of that examiner, someone who has been speaking English their entire life might get stuck. So you need to practice. Recording yourself on video is one of the best ways that you can improve your language skills, that you can improve your fluency, that you can improve your public speaking skills because you can see how you speak. ඔයාට පේනවා ඔයා කතා කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. සමහර අය හිතනවා ඇති අස මේ ස්පීකින් ඉම්ප්‍රූව් කරගන්න ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් නේ. සෝ මේක රයිටින් ඉම්ප්‍රූව් කරගන්න ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් නෑ. මොකක්ද ඔයා මෙතන කරන්නේ? What are you doing here? You're listening to this TED Talk, you're listening to this podcast, you're gathering information, you're understanding that information, and then you're putting it out. Now, if you're struggling with English, if you're struggling with your listening comprehension, this is the first thing that you have to do. Obviously, if you're at a higher level, or if you're at a level where you can listen, you have no problem with the accent, you can understand what the recording is saying, then you need to start paper practices. Papers practice කරන්න පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. Okay. අපේ ක්ලාසස් වලදී අපි දෙනවා ඔයාට ලින්ක් එකක් ගිහිල්ලා ඔක්කොම Cambridge mock practice tests ඔයාට ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේක අපේ ක්ලාස් එකෙන් එක්ස්ක්ලූසිව් දෙන දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. right? ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට online ගිහිල්ලා මේ links හොයාගෙන මේ books download කරගෙන ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. British Council website එකට ගියොත් ඔයාට ඕන තරම් free resources තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තනියෙන් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරනවා වුණත් papers ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. නැත්තේ ඔයාට කාව හරි push කරන්න කෙනෙක් තමයි නැත්තේ. right? හැබැයි papers ටික තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා papers අරගෙන practice කරන්න පටන් ගන්න කොහොමද practice කරන්නේ? ඔයාගේ strategy එක තමයි. Your strategy is the first 20 questions you can't get anything wrong. Doesn't matter what level you are, those are the easiest 20 questions. ලේසිම ප්‍රශ්න 20 තමයි මේ පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්න 20. Okay? Section 1 and 2 වල එන ප්‍රශ්න 20 තමයි ලේසිම ප්‍රශ්න 20. 3 and 4 are obviously more difficult. Section 1 and 2 are for general test takers. It's very easy. Okay? 3 and 4 are more academic based, so it's a bit more tough. Okay? So you need to focus on getting 20 out of 20 විස්සෙන් 20 ගන්න ඕනේ පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්න 20ට. කොහොමද එතෙන්ට යන්නේ? ඉස්සෙල්ලාම papers 10ක් විතර අරගෙන first section එක විතරක් practice කරන්න. first section එකේ එන question types මොනවද කියලා බලන්න. ඒ recordings වලට හොඳට කන හුරු කරගන්න. You get used to two people talking. You get used to how they try to misdirect you. And trust me, they try to misdirect you all the time. Alright? So you get yourself used to that. Try to get 10 out of 10 for at least 8 of those 10 papers. At least 6 of those 10 papers. At least. Then you move on to section 2. Now you do section 1 and 2 together. And try to get 20 out of 20 for at least 6 or 7 of those 10 papers that you practice. If you are getting 20 out of 20, that means you are at a very good level. Then you move on to section 3 and section 4. Section 3 again requires a lot of practice because especially in section 3, they have classification type questions. They have matching type questions which in the listening test are quite tough. So you need to take about 10 to 20 different part 3 questions only and then practice those. Finally, you come to part 4. You do the same procedure. Take about 10 different papers, only practice section 4. You get used to it. You get used to the structure. You get used to the pattern in which they speak. You get used to how they speak and try to misdirect you. Alright, and trust me, throughout all 4 sections, they are always leading you in different directions. If there are 4 answers in an MCQ question, they'll say all 4 answers with one slight difference. Do you understand? So you have to get used to that. Okay. In our class, we will teach you what are the techniques, what are the methods, what are some tricks that you can use to find the answers in an easy way. But we need to discuss a paper to do that, which obviously I can't do here because I'm discussing all 4 sections today. Today is just about giving you an introduction and a roadmap on how to practice. But trust me, if you apply this strategy that I'm talking about now, this practicing strategy, there is no way that you're getting anything less than a band 6.5. Even right now, if you're starting at a band 4, you can easily get to a 6.5 if you practice in this way. If you build up your comprehension and you strategize how you're going to get the marks, because if you get 20 out of 20 for the first 20, you have already passed a band 5.5 level or a band 5 level rather. Now, from both part 3 and 4, you just need to get 10 questions right. 5. You're already at 6 or 6.5. Simple. Alright. Now, some of the testimonials you see at the back are people joining our free sessions. Okay. Not even our paid classes. These are people who have mostly joined our free sessions and have ended up getting exemplary results. Okay. We have fantastic results from our paid classes, obviously, but I put these testimonials because obviously if you come for my classes, then we give you a sort of a guarantee that I'm going to be with you for 10 classes, I'm going to be with you across 5 weeks, and I'm even going to give you a certain level of individual attention to make sure you pass the exam. Because once you pay me and once I make that commitment to you, that's an obligation, that's a responsibility that I take on. These are students that I haven't really taken on that responsibility, that paid responsibility. These are students that have just attended our free sessions and been able to get through the IELTS exam in the best way possible, right? And that to me is a more valuable testimonial. I wouldn't say a more valuable, but It's a really valuable testimonial because these are students that have just been to our free sessions, just watched our YouTube channel, our TikTok pages, and got enough information from us to get to the scores that they have got to.